Captain Elias Cade stood at the edge of the ruined city, smoke rising behind him like black ghosts. His pulse rifle was low on charge. His armor was scratched and cracked. But he was alive and still fighting. The Shirathi swarm had come fast. Faster than anyone expected. The alien invaders didn't send warnings. They didn't ask for surrender. They simply attacked. Now, the colony was nearly gone. Elias looked back at his team. 4 soldiers left, tired, dirty, eyes full of dust and pain. Behind them, a group of civilians waited near the last working shuttle. They had one chance to escape the planet. "Hold until the shuttle launches," Elias said, voice calm but firm. Sergeant Lin nodded. 10 minutes. That was all the time they had. Suddenly something moved in the rubble nearby. Elias turned quickly, aiming his rifle. It wasn't a Shirathi. It was small, thin, hiding behind a broken wall. "Something's there," he said. Stepping forward carefully, he moved closer. A faint sound reached his ears, a soft, frightened whimper. He lowered his weapon and knelt beside the wall. Behind a pile of shattered metal and bricks, he saw her. A small alien girl. She was no more than 6 or 7 years old, if he had to guess. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, soft blue with hints of violet. Her eyes were wide, shining with tears. Her clothes were torn and her tiny hands clutched a piece of cloth, maybe a blanket. She didn't speak. She just stared at him. Elias raised his hands slowly. "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm not going to hurt you." The girl didn't move, but she didn't run either. Carefully, he reached into his pouch and took out a small water pack. He opened it and placed it on the ground. "Here, water," he said. The girl looked at the pack, then at him. Finally, she crawled forward and picked it up. She drank, eyes never leaving his. Elias felt something strange in his chest. He had seen many things during the war. Lost people, broken cities. But this little girl in the middle of all the destruction. She made him feel something he hadn't felt in years. "Hope. We can't leave her," Elias said, turning back to his team. Captain Lin said, frowning. "That's not human, I know," Elias said. "But she's a child." "Scared and she's alive?" "There's no record of aliens on this colony," another soldier muttered. "Maybe she was hidden," Elias said. "Maybe she's the last of her kind. It doesn't matter. We're taking her." He picked the girl up gently. She didn't resist. She wrapped her arms around his neck, holding on tightly. "She stays with me," Elias said. They ran through the broken streets as the sound of distant gunfire echoed behind them. The Shirathi were getting closer. When they reached the shuttle, the pilot looked surprised. "You're bringing an alien?" he asked. "She's a child," Elias replied. "She comes or I don't." The pilot hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. Get in." The shuttle rose into the sky just as a blast rocked the ground below. The city burned beneath them. New Astralis was lost, but one small life had been saved. Inside the shuttle, Leah sat quietly, the girl asleep in his arms, her head rested on his shoulder. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light. Sergeant Lin sat across from him. "You sure about this, sir?" "No," Elias said. "But something tells me she's important." "What if she's dangerous?" "Then I'll deal with it," Elias said. They flew toward the stars, leaving behind a world of ash. Elias looked down at the girl. She was peaceful now, safe. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what she was. But he knew one thing. He couldn't let her go. Captain Elias Cade stood in the corner of the medical bay aboard the Dauntless, a massive Terran warship. Watched the small alien girl sleep on the padded cot, her glowing skin now dim under the ship's soft lights. She looked peaceful, safe. But nothing about this situation was simple. "She doesn't show any signs of disease or injuries," said Dr. Vell, the ship's medic. "But I don't know what species she is. This is new." "Me," Elias said again. His voice was low but firm. Vell nodded slowly. "Not my decision, Captain." But others might not agree. Elias knew that. He had already broken rules by bringing the alien child aboard. The military had clear orders. No alien life forms were to be allowed on Terran vessels, unless cleared by command. Psst. But what was he supposed to do? Leave her behind? She would have died. He couldn't do that. He had seen enough death in this war. The girl woke up a few hours later. She sat up, blinking at her surroundings. Her large violet eyes searched the room until they landed on Elias. He was sitting on a stool near the wall, watching her quietly. "You're safe," he said. "No one will hurt you here." She tilted her head slightly like she was trying to understand his words. Then slowly, she slid off the cot and walked toward him. She held out her hand. There was something soft in her palm, a small, broken pendant. It shimmered with a soft blue light. She offered it to him, as if saying thank you. Elias took it gently and smiled. "You can keep it. It's yours." The girl didn't speak. She hadn't said a single word yet, but she stayed close to him, never more than a few steps away, like she had chosen him to trust. The crew began to notice. Some whispered when Elias passed. Others gave him curious or even worried looks. An alien child on a military warship was not normal. "She doesn't talk," Sergeant Lin said, joining Elias in the cafeteria, "but she watches everything, like she understands." "She's smart," Elias replied, watching her carefully as she sat at a table across the room, slowly peeling a fruit. "You've given her a name yet, Lyra?" Elias said. "Lyra," Lin repeated. "Nice, sounds peaceful." Elias nodded. "She deserves something peaceful." Lin looked serious. "Command will find out sooner or later." "I'll deal with it," Elias said, but he knew the truth. If Command found out, they might take her away, study her, lock her up. Worse, he had to protect her, no matter what. One night, while most of the crew slept, Elias woke to a strange sound, a soft humming, almost like a song. He got up and followed the sound through the quiet halls. It led him to the ship's observatory, a large glass dome that looked out into space. Lyra was there. She stood in front of the stars, her small hands lifted. Glowing symbols floated in the air around her. Soft blue shapes, shifting like water, formed in patterns he didn't recognize. She was drawing something in the air with no tools, just light and energy. Elias stepped closer. "Lyra?" She turned, surprised. The symbols faded instantly, disappearing into the air like smoke. "I didn't mean to scare you," he said gently. "What were you doing?" She didn't answer, but she looked sad, as if caught doing something wrong. Elias knelt beside her. "It's okay. You don't have to hide." She looked up at him, her eyes deep and searching. Then, for the first time, she touched his chest right over his heart and whispered one word. "Father." Elias froze. He stared at her, his breath caught. "What did you say?" he asked, barely above a whisper. But Lyra had already turned away, sitting quietly by the window. Elias sat down beside her. He didn't say anything more. His mind raced. Why would she call him that? Did she know something he didn't? Was it just a word she had heard? Or was it more? The next day, Elias searched the ship's database. He looked for anything that could explain Lyra's strange abilities, her glowing skin. The light symbols, the pendant.1 file caught his eye. A research report by Dr. Anna Koren, a leading xenolinguist. She had studied unknown symbols and energy patterns found near alien ruins years ago. She was also, Elias's wife was. Anna had vanished 5 years ago during a peace mission. Her ship was lost. No signals, no survivors, no answers. Elias had stopped looking a long time ago. It hurt too much, but now, something about Lyra brought those memories back. The way she looked at him, the way her eyes glowed when she was near certain tech. The pendant, the word father. Could it be? No, it wasn't possible. But a small part of him, deep inside, began to wonder. Later that evening, Elias took Lyra to the ship's garden, room a quiet place filled with artificial plants and real soil. It was meant to help crew relax. Lyra touched the leaves with wonder in her eyes. She smiled. It was the first time Elias saw her smile. "You like it here?" he asked. She nodded. He sat beside her, unsure how to ask the questions burning in his heart. Lyra, where are you from? Do you know Anna? Do you know me? She didn't answer in words. Instead, she reached into her small pouch and pulled out another item. A photo worn but still clear. It showed Elias and Anna standing together, smiling. Before the war, for everything, Elias felt the world freeze. This wasn't a random child. She had known Anna somehow. This little alien girl was connected to his past. Connected. To Anna, connected to him? Elias looked at Lyra. And for the first time since the war began, tears filled his eyes. Who was this child? And why did he feel like he had always known her? The photo haunted Elias Cade. It wasn't just a picture. It was a piece of the past he had buried long ago. He remembered the day it was taken on Earth, just before Anna left for her final mission. They were standing in front of the launch tower, smiling, full of dreams. Now that photo was in the hands of a child who should have never seen it. Elias sat alone in his quarters aboard the Dauntless, the lights dim. The warship drifted through deep space, far from any planet, heading toward the nearest command base. Lyra was asleep in the next room, curled up with her glowing pendant clutched tightly in her hand. How had she gotten the photo? Was it from Anna? And how? Anna had vanished 5 years ago during a secret peace mission with a mysterious alien race, the Cerulari. They were thought to be extinct. No one ever found their homeworld. No signals, no traces, just silence, until now. The next morning, Elias took Lyra to the ship's science lab. He had a plan. If she really was connected to Anna, if she had human DNA, then a scan would prove it. He asked the ship's AI, Athena, to run a soft genetic scan. No needles, he promised Lyra with a smile. Just light, like your drawings. Lyra sat calmly in the chair. She didn't speak, but she didn't resist either. The scanner hummed quietly. Blue light passed over her small body. After a few seconds, the machine beeped. Athena spoke, voice soft and clear. Scan complete. Subject contains hybrid DNA. Ilias's heart jumped. Explain, he said. "51% human," Athena replied. 49% unknown genetic material. Closest match. Cerulari. Biological fragments from research file. K-17. Elias stood frozen. She wasn't just connected to Anna, she was connected to him. She's my daughter, he asked. Barely able to say the words, confirmed Athena. Replied, genetic match to Captain Elias Cade. 99.6% probability of paternity. The world spun around him. The alien girl, the quiet, glowing child wasn't just a survivor. She was his daughter. Elias sat down slowly. Lyra walked to him and placed her tiny hand in his. He looked into her eyes so full of light and depth and felt the truth settle in his chest. Anna was gone. But somehow, she had left a part of herself behind. Lyra, a child born from two worlds, half human, half Cerulari, and now the galaxy's most important secret. Later, Elias stood at the viewing deck, staring out at the stars. Lynn joined him, holding 2 cups of synthetic tea. Everything okay, sir? Lynn asked. Elias took the tea, but didn't answer right away. She's not just some random alien, he finally said. She's mine. Lynn blinked. What do you mean, she's my daughter, Lynn? Somehow, Anna gave birth to her. After she vanished, Lynn stood in silence for a moment. Then he sat down beside him. Captain, what are you going to do now? I don't know, Elias said, but I can't let command take her. She's not just a child. She's proof that the Cerulari still exist. Lynn looked around cautiously. Then we're not just carrying a refugee, carrying the most valuable being in the galaxy, and the most hunted. That night, alarms sounded across the ship. Unauthorized access detected. In Deck 7, Athena announced. Elias and Lynn raced through the halls, weapons ready. They found the door to the archive room open. Soldier lay on the ground, conscious, but alive. Inside the room, Lyra stood near a glowing terminal. Her eyes shone brightly, and her hands moved through the air, as if touching invisible keys. Symbols formed around her against her Lari symbols. Blue lights danced in the air. Athena's voice echoed through the chamber. Warning, system breach detected. Lyra, Elias shouted, running to her. Stop, it's not safe. She turned, her expression calm. The lights vanished. The terminal beeped once, then it shut down completely. Elias reached her and held her tightly. What were you doing? She looked up at him with serious eyes, then pointed to the stars showing on the screen. A map. A new star system, far from known space. Is that where you came from? Elias asked. Lyra nodded. Then she spoke one word. Home. The next day Elias reviewed the terminal data. The map Lyra had unlocked showed a hidden world deep in the Perseus Reach, a system marked only in Anna's old files, classified ones. She had called it Project Whisperlight. It was a place the Cirlari were once rumored to live, a planet, hidden by light waves and quantum shadows, a place Anna had been sent to 5 years ago. Elias made a choice. We're not going to command. We're going to Whisperlight. Sir, that's not standard protocol. I don't care. I have to know what happened. I have to find the truth. For Anna. For Lyra. And if command finds out, then they'll have to catch us.
Out quietly.
Elias met with the ships. Pilot and fed in new coordinates off the books. Lynn helped cover their trail by scrambling the ship's data logs. They told the crew it was a recon mission. Only a few trusted soldiers knew the truth. The Dauntless changed course, toward the unknown, toward the world of light and silence. That evening, Elias sat in the garden room with Lyra. She looked up at him with her glowing eyes, and for the first time she smiled again. Home. She asked softly, her voice still shaky but clearer now. Yes, Elias said. We're going home. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. She was small and warm. Not just an alien girl anymore. She was his family, and he would protect her with everything he had, even if the galaxy turned against him. Space stretched like a dark ocean around the Dauntless. Captain Elias Cade stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the star map. The ship was heading into uncharted space toward the Whisperlight system. No Terran ship had ever gone this far into the Perseus Reach. There were no space stations, no patrols, no colonies, only silence. Beside him, Sergeant Lin checked the navigation display. We're 2 days from the coordinates the girl gave us. If they're right, we'll be the first humans to reach it. Elias nodded. Let's just hope we're not the last. He looked behind him where Lyra stood. Near the viewing window, watching the stars, her violet eyes were full of wonder. The starlight reflected softly off her glowing skin. She had been calm the whole trip. But Elias could feel something changing. The closer they got to the system, the more focused she became. She was remembering something, or maybe sensing it. He couldn't tell, but he trusted her. She was guiding them home. That evening, Leah sat with Lyra in the quiet of the garden room. The soft hum of the ship filled the air as artificial wind moved the leaves. Do you remember your mother? Asked gently. Lyra looked up at him. She was holding her glowing pendant again. She nodded once, then whispered Anna. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. She was brave, he said, kind. She loved people and languages. She always believed peace was possible. Lyra touched his hand. She loved you. Tears touched Elias's eyes. Was the first time Lyra had spoken more than a few words at once. He looked into her eyes. Did she tell you that? She showed me, Lyra said. In her light. Elias didn't understand it fully, but he believed her. Lyra carried more than Anna's blood. She carried her memories, her light, her spirit, and now Elias had a second chance to protect what Anna had left behind. The next day, they entered the edge of the Whisperlight system. The stars grew brighter here. The darkness around them began to shimmer like waves on water. Navigation tools flickered. Sensors gave confused readings. Athena, Elias called. What's happening? The ship's AI answered. Quantum light distortions detected. Unusual gravity waves. Standard scanners are unreliable in this region. We've entered the Sarilari Vale, Lynn said. Elias nodded. Prepare for manual approach. The crew held their breath as the Dauntless moved deeper into the Vale. Outside the windows, strange shapes danced like bending and folding in impossible ways. Colors shifted like oil on glass. No one had seen space like this before. Then Lyra stepped forward. She placed her hands on the navigation panel. Oh! Symbols appeared around her fingers. Athena beeped. Unknown interface detected, the AI said. Receiving new coordinates. She's guiding us, Elias said. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. She closed her eyes, and the ship turned gently, as if following her will. After several minutes, the shimmer outside faded on the ship, entered open space once again, and there it was. A planet, floating ahead of them. Glowing with a soft blue light, covered in clouds and green land masses, Whisper Light, the lost world of the Sarilari. The crew gasped. Is that real? Someone whispered. It's beautiful, Lynn said softly. Elias stared in awe. Athena, is it habitable? Gravity, 98% Earth standard. Signs of advanced but dormant technology detected on the surface. Elias turned to Lyra. She was smiling, her face filled with joy and light. We're home, she whispered. Elias felt it too. This wasn't just a world, it was sacred ground. The shuttle landed in a valley full of glowing trees and silver grass. Birds with crystal wings flew overhead. The place was alive, but quiet, peaceful. Lyra stepped off the ramp first. The moment her feet touched the ground, soft waves of light pulsed through the air. The trees responded, glowing brighter. The wind carried a sweet, musical sound. This place knows her, Lynn said. Elias nodded. She belongs here. They followed Lyra through the forest until they reached a circle of tall stone towers, half buried by vines and thyme. Strange symbols covered the walls. Lyra walked to the center and placed her pendant on a raised stone. It glowed brightly. The ground shook slightly. Then, from inside the largest tower, a light formed. A doorway opened, and from it came a figure tall, gentle, glowing with the same light as Lyra. A Sarilari? The figure had no weapon. Its voice was calm. Welcome, Elias Cade. Welcome, protector of the child. Elias froze. You know me. The figure bowed its head. We know your soul, and hers. She is the child of peace. The child of Anna. Elias took a step forward. Is Anna? Is she here? The Sarilari's glow dimmed for a moment. She lived. She learned. She loved. And when the stars grew dark, she gave her light to the child. Elias felt tears rise. She's gone. She is one with the veil now. But through Lyra, she still shines. He looked at Lyra. She stood proud and strong like a light in the dark. She's special, Elias said. She is more than special, the Sarilari said. She is the bridge between worlds. That night, Elias sat beside a glowing lake. Lyra rested beside him, wrapped in a warm cloth made of shining threads. The stars above, a spur light sparkled like music. Lynn walked over quietly. We found old records inside the towers. Your wife left messages. Logs. Her voice is still here. Elias smiled softly. Then I'll listen to them tomorrow. He looked down at Lyra. She gave everything to protect this child. And now it's my turn. Lynn nodded. What will you do? I'll stay, Elias said. Help rebuild. Help her grow. This planet. It's not just a secret. It's a second chance. For all of us, Elias nodded. For all of us. The next morning on Whisper Light, Elias Cade stood in a quiet garden of glowing flowers. A gentle breeze moved through the silver grass, and soft lights floated in the air like fireflies. This planet was peaceful and like anything he had known during the war. Lyra played nearby, her hands glowing softly as she touched the flowers. The plants responded to her, blooming brighter and swaying gently as if they knew her. Elias smiled. She looked happy, but inside his heart, he still felt the weight of the past. Today, he would listen to Aina's final messages. Inside the tallest Seralari tower, a chamber had opened just for him. It was round, quiet, and filled with soft light. In the center stood a tall crystal, pulsing with a faint blue glow. The Seralari elder who called himself Solon stood beside Elias. This memory crystal was placed here by Anna, Solon said. Only you can unlock it. Elias stepped forward and placed his hand on the crystal. It lit up, and a soft voice filled the chamber. Aina's voice. Elias, the recording said gently. If you're hearing this, it means Lyra found you, and you found her. That means everything worked. Elias closed his eyes. Her voice still sounded the same, warm, kind, brave. I came to Whisperlight to bring peace, Anna continued. But something happened. The Seralari were not what we expected. They were afraid, hiding, and they were dying. Their race was fading until Lyra. Elise opened his eyes and looked at the crystal. The light inside it changed, showing an image of Anna holding a small baby Lyra. She was born in light, Anna said. Not like other children. She carries a part of both worlds, my love for you, and the Seralari's last hope. The image faded, and Aina's voice grew softer. I knew I wouldn't make it back. The Seralari taught me to leave pieces of myself behind. In her, my memories, my language, my love. She would need you, Elias. She would need a protector. Elias felt tears rise, but he didn't look away. I never stopped loving you, Anna whispered. And if you're with her now, I know you didn't stop either. Teach her kindness, teach her courage, and tell her I'm proud of her. Crystal dimmed. Silence filled the chamber. Elias stepped back, his heart full. I promise, he said softly. I'll protect her, always. Outside the tower, Lyra waited under a tall tree. When she saw Elias, she ran to him and held out a glowing stone she had found. For you, she said. He took it, smiling. Thank you. He sat beside her and placed the stone on the grass. I heard your mother's voice today, he said. Lyra looked up. Her eyes shimmered. She said she loved you, Elias continued. And she's proud. Lyra smiled softly. I miss her. I do too, Elias said. But she's part of you now, and part of me. They sat together in silence, watching. The lights danced in the trees. For the first time, Elias felt peace. But peace never lasts forever. That night, as the stars shone brightly over Whisperlight, an alarm echoed across the valley. A deep hum filled the air. Solon appeared at Elias's door, his glow dimmer than usual. We have visitors. The Seralari elder said. Elias stepped outside and looked up. A dark ship hovered above the valley. Large, silent, and unmarked. It wasn't part of the Dauntless's crew and it didn't belong to the Seralari. Lynn ran over, breathless. Picked up a signal. It's a scout from Central Command. Elias's jaw tightened. How did they find us? They followed the trail we thought we covered. It looks like they found one of our ship logs before we wiped it. Elias turned to Solon. Will they attack? Solon shook his head slowly. They fear what they do not understand. They've come for Lyra, Elias said. They want to study her, use her. Lynn nodded. And if we don't hand her over, they might force us. Elias gathered the crew from the Dauntless. They met in the valley, under the tall stars and glowing trees. Lyra sat quietly beside him. They'll ask questions, Elias told the group. Maybe offer deals. But they won't understand this world or this child. We have to be ready. What if they try to take her? One soldier asked. Then we protect her, Elias said firmly. We didn't come all this way to hand. Her over, he looked at Lyra. Her small hands were glowing. She was scared, but brave. She's not a weapon, he said. She's not a threat. She's hope. She's peace. And we will not let anyone take that from her. The next morning, the black ship landed just beyond the forest. A small team of soldiers in silver armor stepped out. Tall officer with cold eyes. "Captain Elias Cade," the officer said. "By order of Central Command, we request custody of the alien child." "She has a name," Elias replied. "Her name is Lyra, and she's not going anywhere." The officer stepped closer. "This is not personal. She is a rare subject. She must be studied, controlled. She's a person," Elias said. "She's my daughter." The officer paused. "You left your post, Captain. You've broken orders. You've disobeyed the chain of command." Elias raised his chin, "Then arrest me." "But you won't take her." Around him, Lynn and the other soldiers stood firm. The Saralari appeared from the trees, glowing softly. Solon stood beside Lyra, his presence calm but strong. "This child belongs to the future," Solon said. "Not to fear." The officer looked at the group, outnumbered but united. After a long silence, he spoke. "We will report this. There will be consequences." "Maybe," Elias said, "but at least we'll still have her." The officer turned and left. The dark ship rose into the sky and vanished among the stars. That night, the stars were brighter than ever. Elias sat with Lyra in the garden once more. She rested her head on his shoulder. "Will they come back?" she asked. "Maybe," he said honestly. "But we'll be ready." Lyra looked up. "You stayed? You didn't let them take me." "Of course I stayed," Elias said. "My daughter, and I love you." Lyra smiled and hugged him tightly. The trees around them glowed brighter, and Spurlight sang with peace once more. Days passed quietly after the dark ship left with Spurlight. The trees glowed softly at night. The winds whispered through silver fields. For the first time in a long while, Elias Cade felt like he truly belonged somewhere. So did Lyra. She spent her days exploring the Cirillari ruins and learning their language faster than anyone imagined. The lights would follow her. The stones would glow beneath her feet. Even the oldest machines, long silent, would hum to life when she touched them. "She is waking the planet," said Solon, the Saralari elder. "She is the key." Elias stood beside Solon, watching Lyra draw glowing shapes in the air. "She's still just a child," Elias said. "She is more," Solon replied. "More than even she knows." That evening, Solon brought Elias to a place he had never seen before, deep in the mountains. Inside a wide cave carved from crystal and light. "This is the Star Hall," Solon said. "Long ago, it was a place of choice." Elias looked around. The walls showed scenes of stars, worlds, and great journeys. Now, in the center of the hall stood a tall arch made of golden metal. "What kind of choice?" Elias asked. So, in placed a glowing orb in the center of the arch. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and a star map appeared. Thousands of stars lighting up in the space between them. "There was once a council of peace," Solon said. "A place where species from many worlds worked together. It is long since fallen apart, wars and fear pulled them away. But Lyra could bring them back." Elias turned sharply. "You want her to lead them?" "We don't want," Solon said. "The stars are asking. Light has chosen her." Elias looked at the map. So many systems. So many worlds. "She's still just learning," Elias said again softly. "She will grow," Solon replied. "Soon, others will come, some with fear, some with hope. She must decide who she wants to be, before they decide for her." That night, Elias sat with Lyra near the glowing lake. The water reflected the stars, and small lights danced above its surface. "Lyra," Elias said, "do you ever wonder what you'll become?" Lyra thought for a moment, then nodded. "I see things when I sleep," she said. "Cities made of stars. People I don't know, but who call my name, and light always light." Elias gently brushed her hair back. "There are people who want you to lead them," he said. "People who see you as a sign, a bridge." Lyra looked down. "I don't know if I can do that." "You don't have to decide now," Elias said. "But someday, you'll have to choose who you are, what you stand for." Lyra looked into his eyes. "What if I'm afraid?" Elias smiled gently. Being brave doesn't mean not being afraid. It means doing the right thing, even when you are. The next day, a small ship landed in the valley. It was not a warship. It carried no weapons. It was clean, smooth, and old, marked with the ancient symbol of the Unity Council, long forgotten by many. From it stepped a woman with gray hair and golden eyes. She wore a long white coat, and her voice was calm. "I am Envoy Thera," she said. "I come not from war, but from memory." The Saralari greeted her with quiet bows. Sulan nodded respectfully. Elias stepped forward. "Who sent you?" One Thera said. "I followed the light. It has returned to the stars, and it has chosen the girl." Lyra peeked out from behind a tree. Thera smiled gently at her. "Hello, little light." Lyra stepped closer, curious but cautious. Thera reached into her coat and pulled out a small orb. It floated in the air, spinning slowly. Then it began to project a symbol one that matched the one in the Star Hall. "The council is sleeping," Thera said. "But some of us have waited, watched, and now hope rises again." Elias crossed his arms. "You want her to be your symbol?" "No," Thera replied. "We want her to be herself. And if she chooses to lead, then we will follow." That night, Lyra sat in silence, looking up at the stars. Elias sat beside her. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she asked, "Did Mom want me to do this?" Elias took a deep breath. "She wanted you to be free, to choose your own path. She believed in peace, but more than that, she believed in you." Lyra nodded slowly. "I feel like I'm meant for something, but I still want to stay with you." Elias wrapped his arm around her. "And you can. No matter what you choose, I'll be here, always." She leaned against him. "Then maybe I'll be both," she whispered. "A light and a daughter." The days that followed, more visitors came. Not many, just a few. Some from lost colonies, others from hidden worlds. All of them had heard rumors of Whisperlight, of a child made of stars and peace. They came not to fight, but to listen. Lyra spoke little, but when she did, the world seemed to listen, and slowly. Something began to form. Not a government, not an empire, but a new beginning. A circle of trust. Promised to be better. And at its heart, a girl with glowing hands and gentle eyes. Elias watched it all with quiet pride. He had been a soldier. He had seen the worst of war. But now, he was a father, and in his daughter, he saw the best of what could be. One morning he woke to find Lyra standing outside, her arms stretched toward the sky. The light around her shimmered softly. She turned to him and said, "I think I know what I want to do." Elias smiled. "Tell me." "I want to help the stars stop fighting," she said. "Like Mom tried to do. But I'll do it my way." He knelt down beside her. "Then I'll be right beside you," he said. She took his hand, and together they walked forward into the light of a new future. The sky above Whisperlight was filled with soft colors. Blues, purples, and golds shimmered. In the sky, like paint on water, a new sunrise touched the valley with gentle warmth. Elias Cade stood at the edge of a tall cliff, looking out across the land. The light wind moved his coat, and his eyes followed the glowing trails Lyra had drawn in the dirt the night before. Symbols of stars, shapes of hope behind him. Lyra stepped forward. Her glowing eyes reflected the dawn. "I had another dream." "Last night," she said. Elias looked over his shoulder. "What was it?" "I saw many stars," she said, "and they were all connected. But then some turned dark. Cold. I reached out, and they began to shine again." Elias smiled. "Sounds like they're waiting for you." Lyra nodded. She didn't seem afraid anymore, just ready. 3 days later, the final gathering took place. The valley was now full of visitors, people from many worlds. Some were tall and blue-skinned. Others were short with 4 eyes. A few looked almost human. All had come for one reason. They had heard of the girl born of 2 worlds, and they wanted to hear her speak. The Saralari formed a large ring of glowing stone around the center of the valley. At the heart of it stood Lyra. She wore a robe made by both humans and Surulari, part fabric, part light. She looked like something from a storybook, but more real than anything the stars had seen in a long time. Elias stood at the edge of the ring. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just watched. His daughter was no longer the lost child from the escape pod. She was becoming something more. Lyra looked at the crowd. Her voice was soft but clear. "I was born between two stars," she said. "One of war, one of peace. I carry both, but I choose peace." The stones beneath her feet glowed brighter. "I know what fear feels like," she continued. "I used to wake up afraid. I thought I was alone. But then someone found me. He protected me. He stayed with me, and he gave me a name." She looked at Elias and smiled. "I am Lyra Cade," she said, "and I don't want to rule. I don't want power. I want to build something new, something gentle, something strong." The visitors listened in silence. "I don't ask you to follow me," she said. "I ask you to walk beside me." The wind picked up, swirling around her, lifting the soft lights into the air. The sky shimmered again. A feeling passed over the valley, a warmth that touched every heart. It was not a trick. It was not technology. It was truth. And it was enough. The people began to clap. Then they began to cheer. And for the first time in many years, the stars felt quiet, not from silence, but from peace. Later that night, Lyra sat with Elias on the same cliff where he had watched the sunrise. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you think Mom would be proud?" she asked. Elias wrapped an arm around her. "She'd be proud of every breath you take." Lyra smiled. "I still miss her." "I do too," Elias said. "But you carry her voice, her hope, and now her dream is alive again." They watched the stars in silence. Then Lyra whispered, "I don't want to leave Whisperlight. It's our home now." Elias nodded. "Then we stay. We protect it. And we help others find peace here too." In the weeks that followed, Whisperlight became more than just a hidden world. It became a symbol. A place where the broken came to heal. Where people from different worlds came not to fight but to listen, share, and grow. Lyra didn't lead with orders. She led with kindness. And wherever she went, the lights followed. One by one, old rival worlds reached out not to conquer, but to understand, and at the heart of it all stood a human soldier. And the daughter he had once saved, not knowing she was his own. One evening, as Elias walked through the garden, he found a small memory crystal resting on a bench. Lyra had left it for him. He placed his hand on it. Anna's voice filled the air once more. "I knew you'd find her," she said. "I knew you'd protect her." Elias smiled, tears in his eyes. "She's becoming something beautiful," Anna continued. "And you made that possible." Then the message ended with 4 simple words. "Thank you, my love." Years passed, but Whisperlight continued to shine. Lyra grew older, wiser, stronger. She became a guide to many, never a ruler, always a friend. And Elias. He never picked up a weapon again. He planted trees, read stories, built homes with his own hands. And every night, he and Lyra would sit under the stars, side by side, no longer a soldier and a lost girl, but a father and his daughter, together safe home. The end.